Elon Musk wasn't given a silver spoon with perfect parents. It's public that Elon even views his dad as evil. And Elon definitely wasn't one of the cool kids.
Marijuana inside of tobacco.
Oh, okay. So it's like pot tobacco posh.
You never had that?
Yeah, I think I tried one once.
Come on, man.
And he doesn't have that same charisma that people like Steve Jobs had. Just compare this.
Clicker is not working. All right. They're scrambling backstage right now.
With this.
Elon proposed really quickly, although there's been so many times that, right, I'm getting on a plane to England and I'm never going to see you again.
Really?
No? No, not really. No.
So what is it that made Elon Musk so successful? Well, some people blame his work ethic and others blame his resilience. But the problem with this is that so many other people have those traits. So what's allowed Elon to be able to navigate nature so well he's been able to start 4 multi-billion-dollar businesses in completely different industries? Well, it all starts with his master plan and everything follows from there. So in this video we're going to be breaking down Elon Musk's mindset, and at the end of the video I'm going to give you a model that allows you to think like a genius. Elon Musk has banned taking pictures in SpaceX, one of his businesses, but luckily I found the art that he has pinned up around his cubicle. Here it is. The picture on the left depicts Mars as it is now, and the picture on the right shows Mars as Elon wants it to be. And whether you believe this is possible or not is not the point. Elon doesn't view the world the way that most of us do. He views it in images of what it could be. As it says in his biography, he could see images in his mind's eye with clarity and detail that we might associate today with an engineering drawing produced by computer software. And this was so much the case that his parents thought he was deaf, saying that he goes into his brain and then you just see he's in another world. Having this kind of clarity is something that very few of us possess. But just imagine what it would be like if you knew exactly what you were heading for, and it was so exciting that it gave you more motivation than anyone else you know. But we all know we should have that kind of a vision or a master plan, but the real question is, how do we get that? Ever since he was a kid, Elon Musk has that natural tendency to daydream about his vision, but most of us don't have that. You can make up for this by literally scheduling in daydream sessions into your calendar. You see, just like any old skill, the more time you spend doing it, the better you get at it. And second, don't just daydream. Consciously try and make it clearer and clearer. Picture specifics like how people will act and how you will feel. And third of all, get feedback about your vision. Speak with a friend. Let them probe you and search you for more specific details. Doing these things will give you a much clearer vision, which will in turn help you achieve more things, just like Musk does. But once that's solved, the next question is, how can you start to make that vision a reality? Well, when you sit down and look at a vision that grand, most people would feel overwhelmed and they wouldn't know where to start. So to solve this, ask yourself the question, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is simple. You shouldn't eat elephants, but if you do, eat them one bite at a time. Focus on one step at a time and do whatever's necessary to get to the next step. This is something that Musk started doing even when he was very young. He said in an interview, I just look at it as, what grades do I need to get where I want to go? When most people set goals, they think, I'm going to be happy when I reach that goal, when I lose that weight or I earn this amount. And what happens is when they reach the goal, they feel good for a few days and then everything settles back to normal. And this is due to a concept called the hedonic treadmill. But instead of setting goals, if instead you view them as stepping stones to reaching your vision, that happiness will never fade, because instead of just reaching your goal and returning back to normal, you're permanently closer towards your vision than you were before. So now that it's clear that we should set stepping stones, how does Elon Musk actually start making progress towards those stepping stones? Well, the most reliable way is to only focus on what is vitally important and then forget about the rest. We live in a world where it's easy to get overwhelmed. There's so much demand for our time and so many opportunities. So we need to always focus on what's important. For Elon Musk, he believes that in business, there's pretty much only one thing that's important.
Then I'd say focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. So, for example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design to try to make the car as good as possible.
So Tesla spends $0 on advertising compared to Volkswagen, who spends $6 billion. Yet in 2015, Tesla grew more than 40%, whereas Volkswagen shrunk significantly. So because Elon found what's important in business, he's able to outperform all competitors. Now that we know that we should focus on what's important, how do we figure out what is important? Well, both Einstein and Musk had an interesting approach to this. Let's start with Musk, and let me read you a passage from his book. He points out that one of the really tough things is figuring out what questions to ask. Once you figure out the question, then the answer is relatively easy. And as Einstein said, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I can solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. The point being, if you can figure out which question to ask, then often the solution comes easily. One of my favorite journaling methods is called weeding, and half of it is just taking the time to identify which problem am I having in my life that I'd like to overcome. Once you can identify that, often the answer comes easily. So if you want to walk away from this video experiencing some real personal growth and be a little bit more of a genius like Elon, then follow the following steps. Number 1, open up a page in Notion. Number 2, think about what problem you've been going through. And number 3, write it down as a heading. Finally, spend 543 seconds brainstorming about how you're going to overcome it. The point being, the longer you spend defining the problem you've been going through, the less time it will take for you to overcome that problem. And if you want to take this concept to the next level and unleash the genius of Elon and Einstein, then use this mental model. It's called reasoning from first principles, and this is a technique that's allowed Elon to completely disrupt pretty much every field he's ever entered. And this is how it goes.
I think it's also important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it's like what other people are doing. But first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world, and what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true, and then reason up from there.
So that was how to think like Elon Musk. For the next 7 days, I'm going to be acting like Elon Musk and putting all of this and more to the test. So if you want to see that video, click the like button so I can see if there's enough demand for me to release that video. And subscribe to make sure that you don't miss it. Finally, let me know in the comments who you want me to break down next. Peace.